Hey folks, welcome to a podcast about Catholic things. This is Eric, the ambassador of common sense, and I'm here with
Dan, the ambassador of nonsense. Welcome everyone.
And we're gonna. I really didn't even want to talk about what we're talking about today because the speech that Biden gave, to me, it was just more of the same. I wasn't even going to listen to it. I had heard a couple other podcasters talk about it, and I thought, well, so what? I mean, this kind of stuff happens all the time. But I went ahead and listened to it, and I got to tell you, I think it's downright scary, and it makes me sad because I think it just it let us know a lot of things that I guess we did know. We just didn't know. We didn't know how severe things were and how severe things are about to be, and I think this speech told us that. Yeah,
and in fact, I think that there's there's two possible interpretations of this speech. One is hopeful, and we'll get into that a little bit.
Okay.
And the other is, like you said, kind of a realization that not only is it every bit as bad as we thought, but it has reached the point where those in power don't care who knows that it's that bad kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what caught me here is that, I don't know, I suppose there are still people who have got their head buried in the sand. Like, and I keep thinking, no, there can't be anyone left who doesn't know what's going on. But then, like, I stopped using this. There's a website, neighborhood.com or something like that, where it's like a neighborhood chat place. And I stopped using it when I realized half the people there were just a bunch of Karens. And the site itself supported the Black Lives Matter thing. So I was like, well, I'm not coming to this site anymore if they're going to support communists. Anyway, but they keep sending me crap. They keep sending me emails, and I've marked them as spam 100 times, and yet I keep getting it. I have unsubscribed, and I've told Google this is spam, and I still keep getting it.
You still get them.
Yeah. Anyway, I clicked on it once out of curiosity for something, and then I ended up looking at some of the discussions, and I saw this lady griping because the price of donuts in Kroger's had doubled in the past year. And the weird thing is she was talking as if Kroger is sticking it to the small man, you know? Corporate Kroger is getting one over on us, and there's no way it costs that much for them to make donuts. And one guy tried to correct her and say, look, it's not based on how much money they think they can get. It's based on how much it costs. It costs them X. And he actually broke the price down and said, this is how much it costs to do this. And then another guy said, and all of this is costing more because of Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And like everybody jumped on it. Why you got to turn everything political? And I'm like,
because it is.
Are you people insane? That is why we're paying more money, because of politics. Joe Biden is the reason our gas is $5. Those stickers that say, I did this, there's a reason they exist. Because he did that. He really did. It's all politics. So I guess there's some people who, I would say, like, stormtroopers could storm our house and kill all political opposition, and these people would still think that, well, they were just doing their jobs and taking care of terrorists or something like that.
Yeah, they would think they were on the good side by supporting the
FBI.
Overreaching government.
Yeah.
Right.
They're really that dumb. And I guess it's to a point where they choose to be that dumb. And I know everybody out there has friends like this. They're like, well, they're nice people. It's just he's just stuck in this world. I'm sorry, they're bad people.
That doesn't cut it. No, they're bad people.
When you're that unwilling to see the truth, you've become a bad person. And you're an enemy now. And it's got to be treated that way, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
Well, what's scary is that this speech was written to exactly that kind of person. I mean, to the extent that it was written to the American people.
Yeah.
Which I don't think it was. It was written to exactly that kind of person that you're describing. That's who this speech is to.
Right. And I guess we'll get into the specifics of that as we go through. I chronologically made notes. So we'll just start at the beginning. One of the first things he did was define who our enemies are for us. He said that not all Republicans are mega Republicans. Some of them are working with the Democrats. That clues us all in. Whoever he's talking about is our enemy now, I think.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, on the White House website, it has this remarks by President Biden on the continued battle for the soul of the nation. Now, this is remarkable only in the sense I don't think that there was previously ever a president, a sitting president, who used his position as the president to delineate. Certainly there may have been presidents who felt like, hey, we need to fight for the soul of our nation, but it would not have been like this. It would have been, we need to fight against a feeling of despair. We need to fight against the onslaught of external ideals that are seeking to undermine us. We need to.
Right.
This I think is unique and remarkable because the fight, the battle that he's bringing out, and he just got it there in the headline: continued battle for the soul of the nation, battle against a specific targeted group of people who are U.S. citizens.
Yeah, and he named them, and I think at this point we could say it's the majority of people. I think we're over 50%.
Yeah, that's the other thing, because, this speech, it does not come off when he gives the speech. The setting, it was a small crowd. I mean, they showed a little bit of the clip on C-SPAN.
He can't get a big crowd.
It's a small crowd, and this does not come off as him addressing the American people. He is addressing that crowd, who are already his cheer rally. This is more like the if ignore the wording, this has more the feel of like a speech that a CEO of a company would give to his top tier sales team as they go into some kind of negotiations or something like that. It's that kind of a team rally, not an address to the country.
But I guess my point here is that he drew the line for us. That mega Republicans are one thing, and the establishment Republicans, the rhinos, Mitch McConnell is an entirely different thing. And we need to, from now on, see them as part of the enemy. They are
That's true.
Democrats.
He clarified that for us.
And I don't see how anyone could have not seen that anyway. But now even the Democrats understand it, know it, and he admits it here. Not everyone's his enemy, just the mega Republicans. And we'll get into more of that in a minute. But
I don't even think he's talking about regular American citizens, because all the places that he says we, our nation, we the people, I think the whole leftist project and actually the whole institutional government project is that we means the ones in power. It doesn't even mean the population occupying the continent of the United States.
Certainly.
Between Canada and Mexico. But that's one of the things that, but
because we is how are we going to control all these people?
All of those stupid Democrats and blind leftist sheep out there in the regular land of America are going to think he's talking about them.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're just stupid. Because they think that being on the winning side will help them somehow. They don't understand that they're going to suffer just as much as we do. They're going to go through all the same things that we... Maybe they won't be targeted, but the end result, the fall of America and the terrible times that are coming at us, the starvation that may be headed our way, they're going to go through that too. They're not going to have food and us not have food. That's not going to happen. They really don't see it. They're just stupid. Another thing he did early on is, he kind of tried to define himself as for freedom and for democracy. And then he kind of spelled out our side. He used a lot of generalities, like for violence and for insurrection, things like that. But whenever he talked about very specific, quote, radical ideas, he could only name a few. And this really is the ultimate difference between us and them. He spelled it out. Pro-life.
That's true.
Anti-gay.
Pro-life, pro-marriage.
Pro-life,
and pro-limited government.
And he didn't even say that.
Well, no, but he's talking about
pro-limited government.
He's talking about like people gays? Being against the FBI just doing their job.
Okay, but
people
that was
get
later.
Upset. That was later. That's true. It was much later.
When he spelled out our side, it was pro-life. It was the anti-gay marriage. And he did also mention contraception, which I'm willing to admit.
That was weird.
It's weird that he would say that, because it's never been mentioned, except for a few, far right Catholics like us.
Yeah.
Most Catholics don't even...
That gives me hope. Is there enough of a popular groundswell against contraception that he thinks he needs to bring this up? That would be nice to hear.
Yeah. So... Okay. But that's the only radical thing he could say about us. Other than that, what can he say?
Everything else was
anti-taxes. What's radical about us? He can't think of anything radical except for those things. So he just
attaches labels like radical, violent, angry, whatever. Here's the thing that's interesting is how he talks about violence. And even he refers to political violence. Now, we know, in fact, everybody knows, everybody who's been paying attention knows that there really hasn't been any political violence perpetrated by MAGA people.
Yeah, none. Period.
None at all. But there has been a lot of violence in the last couple of years.
We do know that.
And it was perpetrated by the people who are against MAGA people. In fact, not just the last couple years. We've been fighting an increasing tide of violence from those who identify with the left. Not for the past 2 years, but since Trump got elected in 2016.
Yeah.
And have you ever seen the movie The Running Man? You haven't, I guess.
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's worth a watch because... It's a movie for our times, in the sense that the news is merely changed to fit what the then ruling, institutional government wants it to be, to try to get people's attitudes where they want them to be. And nobody bothers to remember that, wait, that's not how things really went.
Well,
when it's presented to them, they just take it and consume it as, hey, that's, great. Rah rah, and it's like he's doing that already in today, and I would not have described America as dystopian yet.
Yeah, but
that's what is scary about this.
That's exactly what they did in 1984.
Mm-hmm.
And
this is Orwellian, deeply.
Yeah, it's weird that he says these things. It didn't surprise me, though, because they've been doing this for years, and I'm just surprised that they even say it still. Why are you...
Well...
Everybody knows that there was no violence in this... Other than a few Trump supporters getting murdered. Other than that, there just really wasn't any violence.
Yeah, there wasn't any violence.
So, now, he did spell out some things. He said some things that, to me, it's a wake-up. It lets us know what direction they are headed in. And the first one he mentioned was overcoming the state election laws. That's what he's about to try to do. Because
he wants
a lot
to
of the states
cut off the states.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do it right, if you wanted to uphold the Constitution, you would need a constitutional amendment to do that.
Yeah. Well.
But we know that the leftists, the Democrats, and Joe Biden do not want to uphold the Constitution. We know that it is in their way and they want to tear it down.
Yeah. And he specifically talked about the state election laws, which they bypassed all the election laws. That's why Joe Biden's in office.
That's why he's sitting there. Yeah.
I guess they're planning to do this again, but I don't know what direction they're going to take there. I don't know how they're going to do this.
There's a lot more people who are awake and ready for it this time, though.
Let's hope. But this might be... this might be the precursor for what's about to happen right before the election in order to take out the people who are trying to stop it, you know?
Oh, right.
This is... like I said, we'll get into it when he says things like pay attention and, report people who maybe are for Trump and might cause problems during the election. I think that's what part of this speech was about.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentions blind loyalty to a single man is anti-democracy. I wanted to point out something here. And I would say, in a way, he's kind of right. Blind loyalty to a single man is anti-democracy. And that's why I am praying that Trump, if he's going to run, comes out against these vaccines. Because if he doesn't, I just can't support him.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, here's the thing about Trump, is that Rush Limbaugh pointed this out over and over again. The media builds up and tears down people all the time. And they like to be in control of that. So people like the Bushes, not the Bushes so much as, who's the guy that Trump and always fought with? McSomething. I can't remember his name. He's dead now, but he had...
McCain?
McCain. Yeah, that's him. McCain.
The one who ran against Obama first.
Right.
Or was it second?
So McCain was popular because the media made him popular because they saw a guy who was easy to push around, and then they built him up. And they took him down when they needed to take him down. When they didn't want him to win against Obama, then he didn't win. Trump is one of those guys who was not built on the media's, on the left's and elitists' permission. He built himself.
Right.
I mean, there was a movement there of all of us who knew something was wrong and was trying to find some way to solve it, and he took that leadership role. But everything he did on his own, and he didn't use, other than manipulating them, he didn't use the media's. He didn't use the media to build himself up.
Yeah,
and so they couldn't destroy him either. And
which meant he wasn't. That's kind of the capital sin, or the cardinal sin, of politics in America today, is to be your own man.
Yeah, and so he's saying single man. It's not the single man. He happened to step into a movement, but he is the one guy who is uncontrolled by them. And that's why they hate him so much. And as we pointed out last week, right now, pretty much everyone in power is controlled by the FBI because the FBI has a whole bunch of files that used to belong to Epstein. So, and that's why the FBI's running out of control. They're doing whatever they want, and they don't seem to answer to anyone.
But, and whatever the FBI doesn't have, or anybody who the FBI doesn't have something on, the media, anybody who's in an upward track in politics, the media is already doing everything they can to try to establish them, to bring the lens out so that they can always portray them the way they want to, as you say, build them up, tear them down, whatever. Trump, it's not even, as a man, I think he deserves a lot of credit and a lot of loyalty, but the movement itself wasn't even as much about the man as it was about the ideal of having someone in government who wasn't beholden to either the media or the institution.
Right. And when we were...
But only to the Constitution.
When we were young and Mom and Dad had begun getting into political movements, that's when we kind of took on the understanding that there's not really two sides, that there's only one side, and the rest of this is just a show. And that's been kind of... Now we know that's true, and now more and more people are knowing it. And
when
that's
we were teenagers,
what Trump demonstrated.
We knew the word Republicrats.
Yeah. So his next point is that we all have to unite behind democracy. This is all about getting Karens to turn people in. That's what this is going to turn into. And he even, he talks about the FBI in January 6th. People coming out against the FBI who are only doing their jobs. Give me a break. I know. That's the families that they come down on, and it's like, oh my gosh, does he... No, he doesn't think anyone believes this. What he's doing is setting the stage for Karens and say, hey... Don't worry, the FBI is going to take care of those neighbors who have Trump flags flying, and all you have to do is be able to report them for us. Hey, that Trump supporter has guns, and they've already got the stage set for that with these other red flag laws, so that anyone who's a Trump supporter, who's now been defined as a terrorist, shouldn't have a gun, and all they need is for Karen to turn him in and say, hey, my next door neighbor has guns and he's a Trump supporter, so therefore he's dangerous. That's what this is all leading to, and that's what it was all about. It was introducing these things, and
it's introducing that, but he also talked a lot about the voting in the elections, and I think that's even more scary because what he's doing is setting up he says, oh, there's people out there who want to deny the will of 81 million voters in a free, fair election. And exactly. It's like, okay. We can laugh at the fact that, on a rational level, it's bumbling stupidity.
Yeah, but it's
because nobody wants to deny the results of a free, fair election.
Right.
The debate is whether the election was free and fair. That's
right.
But he obviously can't engage that at that level. That would be suicide politically for him to do so.
Right.
But he has to engage it somehow. So what he's doing is setting it up for, especially as they start going after, the state control of the election process.
Yeah.
And bring it into a centralized federal control of the election process. And now the election results are whatever the federal government says it is. And if you disagree with it, if you question it in any way, you are an enemy of democracy. That's
right.
That's what he's setting up. This is George Orwell. This is, 1984, just 40 years later.
Yeah. He said a couple things that I just kind of had to chuckle out. He said there's no place for political violence in America, especially there in that spot where they had signed the Declaration of Independence. I just kind of thought that was funny because that's exactly how America started.
That was extremely violent. You can't be pro-insurrectionist and pro-American. Oh, wait a minute. In that case, we would all be British?
Yeah. I mean, how dumb can you get?
He's like, yeah, go take a history lesson or something. You know, here's another thing, though.
He also said that...
When's the last time you've seen him give a speech? And
it's been a while.
And get all the way through it.
It's been a while.
How did they get him? Because there were people there.
Yeah.
How did they get him to give that speech?
I don't know. I wonder about
it. What kind of drugs did they have him on to be able to deliver that speech that long without bumbling, going off the rails, forgetting what he's supposed to say, forgetting why he's there?
I think he's a robot.
Do you remember?
I don't know.
There was an episode of Star Trek where the planet they were going down to, kind of like reminiscent of 30s Nazi Germany, and there was the leader kind of, and as they got down there, they're kind of engaging to see what's what, but they discovered that the leader actually wasn't speaking at all. What they would do is have him on TV. Now this, obviously this isn't what's happening, but they would have him on TV, and make it look like his lips are kind of moving, and then just play like past speeches. That's how how brainwashed the people of that particular world had become. But this Biden giving this long a speech, like, eerily reminds me of that episode of Star Trek. I don't know. I'm not saying that they did something like that. It's just weird that he was able to do that.
Sometimes wonder if they pulled a fast one. If he's not
like there's a lookalike.
No, if he's not as bad off as we all thought he was.
The bumbling is the act.
Yeah,
could be.
I don't know. It's just. I mean, I don't know. It's weird that he was able to pull that off, because he's very rarely able to pull anything off. He usually loses track of where he is and who he is. It's weird. He also said pro-insurrection and pro-American do not match. You can't be pro-insurrection and pro-American. Yeah,
that's what I was talking
that's
about.
Just silly.
That makes us British.
Yeah,
you can't do that. Let's go give our flag back to the king.
He talked about mass violence and riots that he predicts coming. He kind of predicted violence and riots, and I gotta say, this is what they are setting up, is to make it look like we are rioting when we're not. The exact same thing that happened on January 6th.
They'll go riot and call it us. I mean, they're already doing that.
That's what
the
they
violence
did
over the past 2 years, and he is saying that that's MAGA violence.
As a matter of fact, he even mentioned the violence against the FBI, that guy in Cincinnati, who we still don't know anything about. That was fake. I'm sorry, it's fake. And we know it's fake, and there's nothing they can do to make us think it's not fake. And I guess it's weird how, as you pointed out earlier, they know that we know. And they know that most Americans know. But they're going through this charade anyway for some reason.
Because if they have enough of... If the they includes enough of police power, FBI, state police forces, whatever, if there is enough consolidation of police power, then it really doesn't matter what we know. All it takes is 1 in 3 people going along with their game and pointing out the dissenters like us.
Yeah.
Hey, there's the MAGAs over there, so that they can go over and beat them with clubs and that kind of stuff. Whatever it is they do, they're going to do. But that's all. That's why he's doing this.
Yeah, and I think the January 6th was kind of I think they wanted to see how FBI agents how far they could push the FBI agents and the Capitol Police into violence against the people, into breaking like into families' homes. And see, okay, are they really going to go all the way, or will some of them say, "Hey, this is not"? They had very few whistleblowers. This tells you how bad the FBI is. And I'm not going to say, like most people, I'm not going to put that, oh, it's not the agents on the ground, it's just the guys at the top. No. The agents on the ground are doing what the guys at the top told them.
Back off and say, no, this, this isn't the right way.
And again, I will say, as I've always said, we've got the same problem in local law enforcement. We saw that with those cowardly police hiding from the gunmen. The law enforcement will do what they're told to do. And when the FBI comes into Cincinnati Police Department and says, all right, we're going to arrest these people, and these people because they're
round them up for
political violence, they will do what they're told. People don't understand. You got to get off this back the police bit. We have to reform the police. It's so weird
a dicey
watching
situation,
Republicans,
though, because
we also need police.
Well, no, not. I don't mean that. What I mean is that the anti-police movement is not anti-police powers. The anti-police movement is about getting rid of police and replacing them with hired gang members.
Yeah. Eventually.
So it's like, okay, so it's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation when it comes to police right now.
Right. And it's, the Democrats will praise the police when it suits them. And when it doesn't suit them, they will damn the police. And it's, but you'll never hear them damn the FBI. Not since Obama was elected.
Right.
FBI can do no wrong anymore.
Now that Obama has weaponized them as a leftist political police force.
Yeah. And, of course, he's talking about respect the guardrails in elections. This is, again, he went on for a little bit more about the elections. Elections. This is about eliminating those people who are right now trying to straighten out the process to keep cheating from happening.
To make sure it stays fair and free.
Right.
And accurate.
He said, I'm going to protect with every fiber of my being and asking every American to join me. That's join me, be a Karen, turn in the bad guys so that we can take care of them. That's what's coming. And then he said some things that I thought, I can't believe he's saying this. He said today's economy is stronger than any economy in the world. Today's American economy is stronger than any economy in the world.
That's what I'm telling you. This is like the Running Man.
I think in the beginning of 84, I think his first assignment that they were showing you what his job was, and they had reported that there would be a raise in the chocolate rations, and he had to change that to the chocolate rations would be cut and change all the newspapers to make it say cut, and then everybody would cheer and rally about the fact that chocolate rations had been raised or cut because it had something to do with the troops or something. But it was he was changing the history of what they said and changing what they were doing to make it match what they were saying right now. And it's just today the economy is stronger than ever before.
That's what he's doing.
I mean, and I guess there are people, like I saw on this neighborhood site, she thinks that the economy is strong. It must be strong because companies are getting 3 times as much money as they did before. It's just that they're being stingy with it. I think that's how some of these people think. They're just that stupid.
Everything's more expensive. Economy must be strong.
And then he said that he made America safer with his anti-gun laws. Because I don't know if the murder rates have all gone up. I mean, we all know that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Again, he's just saying things that as if we have no clue what's going on outside our door. He said he's helped the healthcare industry, and he's helped it more than anything since Obamacare came into. Look, I remember healthcare before Obamacare, and I remember how much worse it got since then, and how much harder it is to get any kind of healthcare now. And then since COVID, it's been like uprooted.
Got even worse yet.
People are dying for no reason now, and people are dying waiting for very simple services that could be given to them but aren't because of our terrible healthcare system, which has been, it's like commandeered. I would say most doctors are not doctors. They're state employees.
Yeah.
If you want to find a doctor, the only doctors that exist now are on that what is that Frontline Project, the ones who were fighting the COVID lies. If his name's not in there, he's not a doctor. He's a state employee.
That's right.
But you just can't deny. You can't think that the healthcare industry is better than it was
pre-Obama
5 years ago. It was.
Yeah.
Or even pre-Biden. I mean,
20 years ago,
worse.
but certainly, pre-Biden. Yeah.
He also said something that kind of made me chuckle. Is he said we're going to end cancer in America, and I think he mentioned that because I think we're going to see cancer rates go way down because I think
people won't live long enough to get cancer.
Right? Yeah, I think it's. And not just won't live, I think it might have something to do with this vaccine, that people maybe who are predisposed to get cancer, to have cancer, are going to be rooted out. Yeah, I think the vaccine is killing certain people. I don't know. Maybe not.
The way he says that, but we're going to end cancer as we know it.
Why would anyone say that?
Mark my words. That's a weird thing to insert there. Exactly.
I think they did end cancer. Not only that, but cancer patients aren't able to get to be diagnosed. And we've had this going on since COVID.
Oh, because of the COVID thing.
I mean, anything that's not life-threatening, they don't even treat anymore. And I know things have lightened up a little bit.
Around.
It is turning around a little bit, but it's my understanding that when COVID started, they didn't want to overwhelm the hospitals, so all the nurses and doctors got fired, and there's a bunch of nurses and doctors without work, and then more lost their jobs when they said, "No, I won't get vaccinated."
Right,
and then I don't know. When I go to any kind of medical facility, it looks like a joke to me. And I don't think cancer patients are getting the kind of care they... Well, you lost a sister-in-law to cancer, and it really kind of... Didn't it go back to the COVID thing? She didn't... I can't remember what it was. She wouldn't wear a mask, or... I don't know.
No. That was... that was a little bit different because she had her own problems, but it was really kidney disease.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and she didn't want to eat the way they were saying and stuff. But at one point she came down positive for COVID, so they wouldn't treat her at the dialysis unit, so she had to go into the hospital for the dialysis.
Yeah.
And it's from there that she was so miserable from the COVID that she decided she's just not even going to fight anymore and gave up on dialysis.
Okay, I got it wrong, but okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, and he said the future will be, we'll say, made in America, no matter what the white supremacists say.
Now what?
That was the weirdest street. Now I think
this is so weird.
He said made in America, and then I think he was starting a new line of thought when he said no matter what the white supremacists say. But this I think if you look up the transcript, it'll say the future will be made in America, no matter what the white supremacists say. I think that's what I heard. But first of all, made in America. I mean, Trump was bringing manufacturing back to America.
Trump was all about made in America.
And they put a dead stop to that. Nothing's made in America. They made sure of that. Nothing can be made in America anymore. Hell, we ain't got no energy. But
he says,
and then
American manufacturing has come alive across the heartland. Okay, well, thanks to Trump.
Well, it started to.
And then it was shut back down again.
Yeah.
And the future will be made in America, no matter what the white supremacists and the extremists say. That is such a weird turn of phrase, because the people that he wants to identify with white supremacists are the ones who have been pushing for made in America.
Yeah.
The you, the me's, Uncle Joe's, and so forth.
It's so weird. And again, I'll point out, there might be white supremacists out there, but I don't know any. I don't think they really exist as a group.
It's like...
I don't think they've existed for a long time.
I mean, I'm sure that there are individuals who are kind of like that, and they get together and they do their little rah-rah once in a while, but not in any sense that has any meaning to American life.
I do not know anyone whose
I don't know a single person
purely white.
Who's white supremacist.
I don't know any person whose blood family is purely white.
Oh, right.
Everybody's got color sprinkled in here and there. And it's like, it's just, it's time to face reality. There's no white supremacy to speak of, and we need to quit talking about it. But it's a good...
Well,
he uses it because it's a good thing to call the megas, because that way there's more of an excuse. I think it's getting old, though. I don't think that many people fall for it. Even the dodos, I don't think they even fall for it.
No, but they sure like to repeat it.
Yeah, you're right.
It kind of serves the purpose of the the same purpose as the enemy in the war in 1984.
Yeah. We need an enemy. Yeah.
It's a rallying point, and the difference is that unlike conservatives, which conservatives generally aren't looking for battles. That's kind of why they're conservative. That's why we have gotten ourselves into such a pickle. Conservatives aren't looking for battles, but there are plenty of people who are looking for battles and looking for an enemy, and they don't really care about the truth of it. They just want something that they can link their emotional angst onto, so that they can A, blame somebody else for their woes, and B, have something that they feel like they can do about it that everybody else is going along with them doing. Well, what does this sound like? This is the left. These are social justice warriors. Yeah, regular people. And that's who he's pandering to here. That's what this demagoguery is,
the Karens
laid out there for.
Who just, they look for anything to jump on, and racism is an easy one. Oh, he's racist.
Yeah.
Therefore, he's, a bad guy, and I can turn him into the government and stand there and watch stormtroopers destroy his family and not feel bad about what I did.
Right.
Or not feel bad for my part in it, and not feel sympathy for him, and not feel like the government's doing. As a matter of fact, I feel vindicated. I feel like, I'm helping.
Even if it doesn't go there, I can dislike him without actually knowing anything about what he thinks.
Well, yeah, that.
I could just emotionally lump him in as, racist, therefore I can dislike him, therefore I don't have to be nice to him.
And I think all of this, what's going on right here, is linked to the masks, which is linked to the strange phenomenon of people living through their phones and no longer looking up and speaking to people. And that's all linked together by creating a condition where we all have some kind of relationship with each other, but nobody has a personal relationship anymore. Nobody talks to each other, and I think, like, we're about to get the perfect storm because it created this great condition where, I mean, even Hitler, all the dictators before used people, Karens, to turn other people in successfully. You know, and I'll tell you what, the communist countries often used teenagers, young teenagers who
returning their parents and that kind of thing.
Yeah, have you seen that movie, The Killing Fields?
No.
Okay, that's worth a watch. I guess it was about Cambodia turning communist,
like Pol Pot. He was the Cambodia guy, right? Yeah.
And I guess part of it was, you know, all of the people who needed to be re-educated would be re-educated by these young teenagers who would, you know, who would kill without thinking about it. And it's just for some reason... to be sadists. Yeah, well, in 1984, the kids were turning in their parents and stuff like that. And it's... I think that kind of thing has always been there. It's easy to take a group of people who are used to having authority over them and make them feel like, hey, you don't have to have this authority over you. You can break out of that by doing this and turning your parents in. And then even making that worse because now you don't have relationships with the people you're turning in because you don't see their faces. You see their masks or you see them in the phone, and that's all you see. They're not real people.
On one level, this could be, and it's kind of weird because cell phones are like, in this theory, cell phones are really more opportunistic, an opportunity more than anything else. But my son was pointing out to me how, you know, as a general approach to things, this idea of universal education is historically very new.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until he had an exact date, but early 20th century, that it became the norm for kids to go all the way through and graduate from high school. Kind of a social expectation. And within a generation of those kids, now we're getting into the 50s and 60s, it became the norm. Kids were being taught that it's normal to have a little bit of rebellion against your parents. It's setting up the us versus them.
Yeah.
And from that time on, it has just become more and more stark to where now it's almost completely driven in the direction of, oh yeah, your parents are old school. They don't know anything. You need to not listen to anything that they say. Just, you know, smile and nod and ignore them completely because here's the new way and this is what it's all about and so on and so forth. But this is a process that's been going on for about a century.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And I think the cell phones and the masks were the nails in the coffin that we're going to see soon.
Yeah. We'll be seeing but the thing is, people can't sustain on that kind of life. We're going to continue to see a rise in suicides.
Yeah, you're right. And it's a shame.
Because it's going to lead to depression and everything else.
Yeah, and it does. Yeah, it does already. We're seeing a lot more suicide. I don't know what the stats are at this point. They have, you know, Netflix shows glorifying suicide.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like Children of Men. Have you ever read that book?
No.
Okay. The suicide crowd was a much bigger thing in the book than it was in the movie.
Oh, okay. Than it was in the movie?
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Then, you know, he kind of... One of the things he finished off was speak up, speak out, and get engaged. Which kind of... I'm telling you, this is all about turning people in. That's what most of this speech was about.
That's what Get Engaged is at this point.
Yeah, turn people in. I don't have too much more to say about it.
Well,
it's I don't have any more of my chronological notes to talk about.
No, this is clearly this is an odd piece of demagoguery. And I almost wonder if it's testing the limits of, because you pointed out how like the FBI is engaged in various activities that seem to be how much will they, the agents themselves, the organization, how much will they stand for and allow themselves to be used and targeted at people and so on and so forth. But I wonder if this is almost like a trial balloon speech, like, hey, let's just outright lie to the American people. Like you said, we know what's going on. They know we know, but let's see if we can get away with it anyway.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's what's going on here.
Yeah, because it's some of the lies are so bizarre and...
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about recent history. We're not talking about some, long past history that only 20% of the people would even know about if they read books and you change the facts in order to suit your current narrative. We're not talking about that. These are the things that people lived through in the last few years of their lives, and he's changing them and flipping them upside down.
The economy is strong right now. Who thinks that? Who could possibly think we have a strong economy? Maybe that's what it is. Let's see what happens.
Let's see just do how boldly we can lie and get away with it. Or maybe it's testing the loyalty of news organizations. Let's see which news organizations are really on our side and which ones are going to call us out on the lies.
That could be. See, here's the thing. Sometimes I think that the reason they chose Biden to win this presidency was to kind of stick it in her face that it doesn't really matter whose face they put there. They were showing us
they're going to do what they want. Because it's not Biden anyway. We've got control now. Yeah. It's the deep state.
We've got control now, and we'll purposely pick the worst person we can find. The person that no one likes. No Democrats like Biden.
Yeah.
And we're going to make him president just to show you no longer have control. Accept it. We are in control now.
Yeah. It's kind of like a demoralizing.
That's what I think.
Of course.
Biden is about.
This is a podcast about Catholic things. So what they're all missing is that it's really God who's in control. God already knows all this.
Pilate wasn't in control. Pilate was in power because God put him in power. Mm-hmm. And right now, God allowed them to take control. And maybe he'll continue to. We don't know. But
yeah, it might be, 10 more centuries, or not centuries, 10 more generations before things right themselves in the historical, storm.
The thing to do now is to hunker down and to train your kids to be Catholic and, if need be, train them to be martyrs. That's what needs to happen now.
They've got to be Catholic. They've got to love Christ so much that they're willing to die, and train them to think.
Yeah.
Which the church has always encouraged.
Yeah. Say the rosary. That's what needs to happen.
Yep.
All right. What do you think? We got anything else?
Nope. I think we've exhausted that. We've beat that horse.
Yeah. So we'll talk about news. Man, there's some weird stuff. First of all, I don't know why it's announced, but YouTube now has 10 years of data for minutes watched, as opposed to, when they first started, what they would track is the number of clicks that your video got.
Oh, okay.
Now they track the number of minutes that are watched, and that's what the algorithm is. It doesn't matter how many times your video was clicked on. What matters is how many minutes did somebody actually watch the video.
Because if somebody clicks on it and they first 10 seconds, that's not for me. Clicks away from it.
Yeah. But they're announcing now that they have 10 years worth of this data. I don't know what it means, but I just thought I'd talk about it.
Did they announce a big winner, like a number one contributor or a content maker with the most minutes watched or whatever?
No, they're just announcing that we've been doing this
for
exactly 10 years now.
That's a dumb announcement.
Yeah.
I mean, use the data to say something interesting.
Yeah, I know. In California, in Furnace Creek, California, they reach a temperature of 127 degrees. That's the world record for September.
Furnace Creek, California? That should have been a nonsense news item. I did not know about that.
Furnace Creek, California, 127 degrees.
That's
hot. That would suck.
Oh, man.
Can you imagine not having air conditioner in Furnace Creek?
Oh, gosh.
Terrible.
Yeah, I mean, that's where people start dropping off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this should be a nonsense, but here we go. G7, the group of nations G7, which includes America, have announced that they're going to put a price cap on Russian oil. I had to read that.
Okay, wait a minute. I thought they weren't buying. I thought we weren't going to buy Russian oil anymore.
But that's silly. We can't not buy Russian oil.
So now it's, we'll buy it, but we're not going to pay more than this much per barrel for it.
Yeah, that's what they mean. That's.
I don't know why they.
And
why
Russia,
don't they just admit that their whole anti-Russian oil thing was poorly conceived to begin with?
Yeah. The funny thing is, Russia is like, you don't want to pay more, then you're not going to buy it. I mean, imagine going to a store
Russia can afford to sit on it.
A price cap on the store owner's goods.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
I'm not going to spend more than 90 cents per Twinkie at your store. Okay.
Yeah, and the store owner's like, okay, I'll
sell them to the people who will spend more than that.
Yeah. It's so dumb.
It's the cost of Twinkies.
Which is exactly what Russia said.
It is so dumb.
Okay, fine. We won't sell you oil. So, they shut off the Nord Stream 1, which it was shut off anyway for maintenance for 3 days.
Oh, okay.
It was shut down for 3 days for maintenance. But now they've said, all right, we're just not going to turn it back on. So they didn't turn it back on. And now they've said, until you take this back, until you stop even saying it, you're not getting any oil. And Europe is now without Russian oil.
Oh, wow.
And I guess that means America will be without Russian oil.
I suppose.
There are some people who are encouraging them to also put a price cap on natural gas. And I guess Russia's response was, okay, go ahead. You won't get natural gas
either.
Actually, Nord Stream 1
if that's
is
affect
a natural gas pipeline. It's not. I don't think Nord Stream 1 pumps oil. I think that's only natural. No, wait a minute. It must.
I thought that was the thing.
It must be both.
Pipeline. Oh, really? That's interesting.
Russia announces that gas flows through the Nord Stream 1 natural gas pipeline to Europe will not resume until sanctions against Russia are lifted.
Okay. So it does.
Following the G7's announcement, Russia announces that flows through the Nord Stream 1 natural gas line to Europe will not resume tomorrow because of a reported oil leak in a turbine.
Oh, okay.
So oil leak could mean something that doesn't necessarily mean the pipe is leaking. That could just,
it could be
okay.
that's
like an engine leak,
oil or something like that, right?
Yeah. So I guess let's expect gas prices to go up yet again because.
Well, I wonder if it's going to affect in any way my because next week I'm heading to Ireland for a pilgrimage.
I would say so.
And it's about a 10-day. We're going to see where Our Lady visited in Knock, as well as a number of Irish cathedrals. So But
I would say,
in theory, the trip's already paid for, so it's not like the price is going to go way up. But we could get there and find out that food is suddenly a lot more expensive, or something like that.
Right. I don't know. I would say Europe's got some hard times coming to them.
Yeah.
And this is all self-inflicted. This is all created for the sake of creating a disorganized, chaotic world that the federal government can come in and save.
Yeah.
And maybe there's people who still don't know this, but I would say you're an idiot if you don't know this yet. 27 ancient artifacts that were in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City were seized by federal investigators under the suspicion that they were looted. So these are artifacts that were from Italy and Egypt. And I guess apparently, I don't know if they mean looted like 200 years ago or looted like 10 years ago. I don't... I couldn't figure this out. But they're saying they were stolen, but they don't call it stolen, they call it looted. But if you have
I think the difference is that, stolen is like if a thief goes in and steals like a burglar or something like that.
Right.
I think that's the only distinction they're making.
If you're at an Egyptian dig and I guess if you sneak off with something, I guess technically you're looting. Somebody paid for the dig, and
there's a modern sentiment that taking things from existing like tombs and that kind of stuff is looting and is wrong. Period.
Yeah.
Whether you're carting them off to your home or to a museum, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, but that is kind of the modern sentiment.
Yeah. Okay. Did you know Mikhail Gorbachev has died?
Died. Oh yeah. That's
okay. So his funeral was this week.
Mm-hmm.
In Moscow.
Yeah, he was. He was
our public enemy. You know.
Well, kids. The thing is, when we were kids, but he was the one who allowed Reagan to win the Cold War.
Yeah. And
he, at a time that he could have clamped down and brought the full kind of Russian imperial harshness to bear on the countries of the Soviet Union, he allowed the Soviet Union to dissolve. I don't know I can't speak to his motivations or anything, but he seemed to have a sort of relationship with Ronald Reagan that allowed sort of the world history to evolve the way it did during those decades. And I honestly, even though he was like the big enemy because he's the Russian prime minister.
Yeah.
When we were kids, I actually think of him rather fondly now.
Yeah. Well, he lost, so.
I know, but he lost, and he took a gracious path to that he didn't have to take.
I guess, yeah, he did.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to imagine, like, somebody like Putin in his shoes would never have allowed history to evolve the way it did.
Right, he'll just let his people starve to death before allowing the Union
to dissolve. Exactly.
Right. Or, like, Biden. An estimated 70,000 people marched in the Czech Republic's capital, the city of Prague, demanding that the government do more to control the soaring energy prices in the country and voicing opposition to the country's involvement in the Russian-Ukraine war.
Okay. Is the Czech Republic... I am woefully ignorant about European politics. Is the Czech Republic coming down on the Russian side or the Ukrainian side?
The Russian side. They're reporting it saying that some of the organizers were communists. So
would not doubt that, because if they're saying, hey, quit being involved in this war, and at the same time do something about rising energy costs, the way to do something about rising energy costs is to buy energy from Russia.
That's the only way.
For a country in the Eastern Europe like that. So I'm thinking it makes perfect sense that some of these organizers are communists because of the weird discrepancy there, the contradictions.
Yeah. Let's see. NASA suspends the inaugural launch of Artemis 1 rocket.
Really?
This is for a second time because there was a fuel leak and it caused like a 2-hour delay, and then finally they called it off. So this is supposed to go and orbit the moon.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to stay in orbit around the moon or if it's just going to circle it once and come back.
If it's non-manned, why bring it back? Just have it orbit. Well, keep sending data.
Is that all it does? Is send data, or maybe it collects something?
Oh, like they have a lander or something like that. That would be
I don't know.
That'd be fun. Maybe there's some stuff they want to get.
Yeah. 10 people are killed, 15 others injured, in a mass stabbing in James Smith Cree Nation and a nearby village in Canada.
Wow.
So this is like an Indian reservation.
Okay.
But, okay.
Still, this
10 people
Canada,
killed.
Though. I know. That's like 25 people got hit with this knife. I'm trying to think of a mass stabbing in the United States. It wouldn't get that far before somebody pulled out a gun and shot them.
Or even just tackled them. I mean...
grab a baseball bat for heaven's sakes.
25 people, and nobody said, hey, these two guys are stabbing people, let's get them.
Let's bash them over the head with bricks or something.
Anything. That's so bizarre to me.
That is really
then
weird.
Later in the week, one of the suspects... It was two guys. One of the can't say it. One of the suspects was found dead. And then the next day after that, the other suspect was taken into custody. But I can't really find any information on the suspects.
So they have a live suspect, which means they may be able to figure out why they were doing it.
Right. And maybe get more... It might just be two crazy guys. I mean, people do crazy things nowadays. Wisconsin and North Carolina expand their eligibility for the monkeypox vaccine in at-risk communities. I wonder what an at-risk community, like a gay community?
But maybe that's what they're talking about. I would think, maybe more like drug communities.
It's not. I don't.
But
think
it's not passed by drugs
thing.
yet. It's still only a gay
by
thing
gay
right
sex. Yeah, and I'm not sure, but I think it's gay male sex.
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes sense. So
that's what AIDS was transmitted
initially. Yeah.
By. Yeah. So I don't know. I know they're trying to scare us with this. And
at-risk community. Yeah, that must mean
people,
like
the cats. They tried to keep the cat in the bag about it being a gay disease, but the cat's out of the bag, and we all know now. And
everybody knows, so just...
They can keep talking about it, but we know that since I'm not gay, I'm not really at risk, so I'm not going to worry about it.
I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah. This guy, Griffin, a commissioner of Otero County, New Mexico, is barred from public office by a state judge because of his involvement in the, quote, January 6th attack. This is just disgusting.
That's ridiculous.
But
again, you mean the January 6th attack on citizens where the police in the Capitol killed people? That attack?
Yeah. It's the only attack I'm aware of. It's just... So, but this is exactly what this whole episode is about, is that this stuff is coming.
It's like, just rewrite the news, even recent news, and people will go along with it.
Yeah. That's all my news.
Oh, okay.
We're going fast today.
We are going fast. Well, that's fine, because
yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to try to make it next. What the heck? You know what? I think my mouse ran out of batteries, so I'm going to have to go grab a battery real quick before I can do my news. But that's fine, because I have one right here nearby.
I'll talk about, if you subscribe and you were one, and you saw our episode pop up last week and downloaded it right away, you got one conversation. And then if you waited a day or two, you got another another recording. Because I have a number of steps I go through when I produce them.
Uh-huh.
And one of those things is to truncate silence. And I forgot to do that.
Okay.
And it cuts... You would be surprised how natural we sound versus how we sound when I don't do that. And I guess it depends on the subject.
I know,
like today probably not much will be truncated because
we were practically talking over each other.
Yeah, but like last week we were kind of looking for more to say, and there were a lot of silences, and so I put the episode together, uploaded it, then went to Columbus or something, and driving there, I'm listening to it, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I got to get back and redo this.
Okay, so if anybody decided these guys are taking too long to say what they're going to say, I'm done listening to this episode, go back and re-listen now.
Yeah, it's a little bit better put together now. That's why we don't do live shows, and probably never will do live shows. It's just something fun we do once a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to try to do next week, but I can't promise that I'll be available. And the week after that, I will not be able to do. I'll be out of the country. So. All right. So, let's see. I've got some items here. I guess somebody in New York received a package, opened up, and found that it was filled with lizards and iguanas.
Wow.
That's a weird way of saying. Isn't an iguana a kind of lizard? But regardless.
Well, kind of, yeah. But
I mean, that's like saying, I opened
both?
this package and it was filled with snakes and boa constrictors.
Yeah. I'm looking at the picture, and it looks like they're all the same species.
Oh, okay. So maybe it like iguana lizards.
But it's unclear it's a prank. Oh, okay. So he doesn't know who sent them even.
It's just he got this package and
that's what was inside.
Well, the reason I thought this was funny, the news article is actually about the fact that a surprising number of live animal deliveries end up going to the wrong address.
Ah, okay.
And the reason that caught my eye is because my son just recently, maybe a month ago, bought a lizard. It's actually a black. I want to see if I can say this right. Black something water monitor, or a black something monitor, not a water monitor, but like black face monitor or something like that. I'm sure that's
like
not
It's a giant lizard.
The thing itself when it arrived was only like 6 inches long plus a tail.
Yeah.
But it will grow to be about 6 feet long as an
it'll
adult.
be like a crocodile.
Yeah. And these monitors
we were just making fun of people who did
yeah.
And now you got one in your house.
It's in my house, and it's in the base. But the thing is, these monitors it's kind of like, it's not like, like you saw the movie, well, maybe you didn't. I don't know if you like these kind of movies, but like Alien, where the alien creature, when it gets away, it's like fast, and it scurries into a corner and then out of the room, and if you don't get it right away, they're not like that. They're kind of slow, and if you can see where they're going. If it's going to tail whip you or something like that, you have plenty of warning. You just back off and get away. So it's not really like a big deal. But the
I would
thing
think
about
that they would stink.
Well, I don't know. Not so far. At least not
Okay.
that we can smell throughout the house.
Okay.
But this particular kind of monitor, my son, kind of looked at. He always does research before he gets stuff.
Yeah.
Generally, they're not bred in captivity. So the one he got is probably something that was captured in the wild somewhere and then shipped to him.
Yeah. Huh.
Anyway.
My daughter has a snake. Mm-hmm. It's gotten out like 2 or 3 times.
How do you find it?
It'll be lost. I don't know. It'll be lost for a day or two, and then it'll just turn up.
That's weird. Like back in the cage or nearby? Or
no. Like last time, it was gone for like 2 or 3 days, and then Bella woke up and she felt something on her feet, and she looked down, and there it was on her bed.
That is so weird.
I would freak out. I would take it and whip it.
Yeah,
it'd be dead.
Get out of here.
It'd be dead. But we do. You know how okay, when you're a kid, you find a frog and you have to put it in a box and then take it home, and then it dies in the jar a day later
because you don't
forget about
think
it.
to give it food and air and stuff like that. Yeah,
but we're one of those families who will, hey, let's get an aquarium and put it in an aquarium and feed it stuff and keep it alive for a long time.
Screen on top and food and proper food, everything. Yeah.
But we had this tree frog that we found at camp. Actually, Tyler's the one who found it. And we had it for several months. But it would get out almost once a week. And it would just show up attached to a wall, sitting on a wall. Mm-hmm. And it made a weird noise every morning, so that's how we'd end up finding it. Oh. But it constantly got out, and we would find it in another room, just hanging on a wall, sitting there, and then we'd put it back in, and then the next week it would get out. I don't know how it kept getting out. I guess the kids kept, but we often lose animals and find them again.
Huh. Well, there was, for a while in Michigan, I worked in this building that was 4 stories, lots of glass going all the way up and that kind of stuff. And I was on my way down, and between the 3rd and 4th stories, there was this weird clump. At first I thought it was some mud that somebody slung and stuck against the window. When I got down to the landing, I looked closer. It was a frog.
It was a frog?
Stuck to the glass 3 stories up, 3.5 stories up.
Wow.
It was weird. I don't know what kind of frog. I don't know frogs enough to say what kind it was.
Some kind of tree frogs, they climb that way. They'll go up on a wall and then they'll just sit there. And I think they're basking in the sun.
That must be it. Yeah.
I think that's why
that makes sense. Because it was sunny and stuff.
But that means it had to climb all the way back down there.
After it was done.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they're a thing like maybe they can maybe at their terminal velocity for falling, they're able to withstand the impact, and so it's okay to just let go.
Could be.
Anyway, next one. This is kind of weird. This cow got his head stuck in a tree. You can kind of see the back of the cow and where it got its head stuck in, and then you can see the front of the head poking through. Some firefighters had to get it out. It's kind of funny. It kind of reminds me of the kind of the neck brace we used to put our goats in when we milked them.
Yeah, or a kid getting his head stuck in the banister.
In the banisters, exactly.
I wonder how they got. I wonder if they just pulled it out or if they cut the tree.
Well, let's see if it says. This, by the way, is on the Isle of Wight in England, Britain.
Oh, okay. Well, they're British.
By enlarging the hole and manipulating the animal's head until it was free from the tree. So they didn't want to cut the tree down completely. Okay,
but it's wood, so you could put a jack, a high...
even
a floor jack.
Jaws of Life kind of thing. Yeah, that makes sense. That's probably what they did.
Pry them apart, and it's wood, so it'll grow. It'll be fine.
But it took them 3 hours.
Idiots. You're British.
Yeah, I know. In America, we would have had the cow free in no time.
Yeah. And then
it's kind of funny. Yeah. I've been looking at the face of the cow. It does not look panicked or anything.
Yeah, it just looks like kind of, this sucks.
Yeah. Looks kind of bummed out.
Somebody help me.
He's thinking, I wish this had happened somewhere other than England.
Yeah. Wish this had happened on an American farm, and the farmer had been like, get the hell out of there, and pulled him, yanked him one time, and he'd be out.
That's right. All right. Okay. Let's see. So, at first when I read this headline, so this is like cocaine. It says $11.8 million worth, and they say 1,500 pounds hidden in a shipment of baby wipes. What I don't know is, are the wipes, is like the cocaine like attached to the wipes? Like you got to take the wipes and process them to recover it? Or was it like a box of baby wipes and then some bricks of cocaine in it? I don't...
like in crime shows, they'll show things like, oh, you can turn cocaine into anything, and then get it somewhere, and then turn it back into cocaine. I don't think that really exists. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I question that whole process. It's like, I remember when they had glass. They had panes of glass, and it was like, you get it there, and then you take the glass and melt it, and it's cocaine again. It's like, give me a break. You can't do that. It's dumb.
Well, anyway, baby wipes. So, if your baby starts acting weird after you change their diaper, maybe call the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol.
I wonder, things like this, do they try it out first? Because that much cocaine, it was found by dogs, and you would think that you would maybe there's nothing you can hide it in that won't be discovered by dogs.
I have a feeling that's close to true. I mean, because dogs are so sensitive, you'd have to have something that, first of all, you seal a cocaine in, and no molecules escape.
Yeah,
and then you have to somehow eliminate all the molecules that got on the outside of your packaging.
Right.
And then seal that into something that still doesn't let molecules escape. It may be possible, but I think it's doggone hard. Doggone.
Okay, so do they try these things out, or maybe like this is one shipment?
The dog found 50. One. Let's open one up and see if it's really cocaine, kind of thing.
Well, I'm just saying that if you had that much cocaine, would you put it all in one basket and try to ship it? Because it's like, if the dog finds it, you're done as a drug dealer. But
why not split it up? Okay, we put a pound of cocaine in this shipment, a pound of that. I don't know.
Or have they been doing this for years, and this is the first time it finally got... If they got confident enough to put $11 million worth of coke in one shipment, they must be pretty confident that it's going to get through, And now they're like, okay, we've done it 80 times, or did they keep building up? How did it come to this?
The thing is that $11 million in the drug industry, that's like, for that to get confiscated is like, all doggone, I lost, I left a $20 bill somewhere.
Yeah.
In terms of my personal budget.
These people make trillions. And
so, maybe this stuff goes on regularly, and this is just one of those cases where, it wasn't sealed as well as it was supposed to be, and the dogs found it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, I guess they can open every, container, or they can do it randomly or whatever. They're allowed to on imports and stuff like that. But that from a logistics point of view, just having the people and the time and everything, they can't open every container and check it out.
Right. But the dogs found it. So didn't the dogs find it before?
Right. Yeah, I do not know.
I don't know enough about drug smuggling.
If I knew about that much about drug smuggling, I might not let on that I knew anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is one that is, let's just say it's going to invite some conspiracy theories. I'm going to say Liechtenstein. I don't, it's either Liechtenstein or Liechtenstein. Probably Liechtenstein. The parliament of that country was discussing a proposal to require earthquake insurance. I don't know if they're talking about for houses, like regular residences or what. But while the parliament was in discussions, an earthquake hit.
This is a very tiny...
They had to all run outside.
Huh. That is ironic.
Well, like I said, it's going to invite some conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I would say so.
And
I would like to live there.
Yeah. It's in New Zealand, right?
Some of the pictures. Well, it's like between. It's between.
No, not
Austria and Switzerland.
I was thinking Australia. Okay, so Liechtenstein. You know what?
It's just this tiny little principality. They're not even calling it a country.
It's just a principality of another country?
I don't... That's not the way they're acting. It's like it's its own thing.
Because they have their own parliament.
Yeah, it's between Austria and Switzerland.
Principality between Austria and Switzerland. Known for its medieval castles, airplane castles. Alpine landscapes and villages. Huh.
Can you imagine, being from a place like that? Why would you ever leave?
I know. That's why there's nobody from Liechtenstein. Or Liechtenstein.
Yeah. But that's where probably the rich of the rich go. That's You have to be mega, mega, mega rich to be there. And those are the people controlling the weather. So, yeah, conspiracy theories.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like, okay, so the people who want to sell earthquake insurance had to make sure that this earthquake hit while the parliament were discussing whether to mandate earthquake insurance. That's funny. Anyway, that is all my news today.
All right. Are you doing trivia?
Oh, wait. Yeah. Let's do a Bible trivia. Hold
on. Okay.
Get my dice roller and pull my card out. Okay. Roll from 1 to 6, and it comes up 6. 6 again. I don't think this dice roller is truly random. I'm going to get a real die sometime. Okay. Number 6. What is the word used to explain the 3-in-1 Father, Son, and Holy Spirit? Seriously?
What is the word Trinity? But that's not a Bible.
That's not even biblical, but that is the answer, they say. That's not really... Yeah, that's not really biblical. Okay, I'm going to do a second one because of that.
Okay. But I think because a lot of Christians wouldn't know that. It's a Catholic thing more than a Christian thing, I think.
Maybe.
Like the ones who study might, but just the Bible thumpers might not even know the word Trinity.
Trinity. Yeah, because it isn't biblical.
Yeah.
All right. This time it came up number 3. So number 3 is, let me see what the 3 category actual. Okay, objects and events. Okay. I don't know why they link those two together. As evidence of taking a vow, what did Paul do in Cenchrea? As evidence of taking a vow, it must be talking about.
This would have probably been. I don't know, but I
did not know the answer to this. I'm going to go look this up though, because before you say you don't know, before I give you the answer, let me see if there's a different pronunciation or word for that place.
Okay, because my guess is he cut his hand.
That's because that's what we all did as kids.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I thought maybe that's where it came from. But what was the vow? What vow was he taking? That's my question.
It does not even say. It just says, at Cenchrea he did this, for he had a vow. He stayed days, then took leave of the brethren, sailed for Syria, and with him took Priscilla and Aquila. At such and such place he did this, for he had a vow. And they came to Ephesus, and he left them there. But he himself left Priscilla and Aquila there. He himself went into the synagogue and argued with the Jews.
Huh. No, I don't know.
It wasn't cutting his hand, but it was cutting something. He shaved his head.
Oh, okay. He cut his
and
hair.
All it says is he shaved his head, for he had a vow. Doesn't say what the vow was or anything.
I wonder if that's like when he made a vow of chastity or...
Could be something like that. Yeah, like he vowed like celibacy, not to get married or something.
Right.
By the way, I wonder if any of our listeners, there's people bandy about words related to sex, and I think sometimes people don't understand the differences. So, chastity.
Because I meant the word celibacy, not chastity.
Exactly, right.
That's how it
celibacy means you don't get married.
Yeah.
Continence means you don't have sex. And chastity means that all of your sexual behavior is in a right, is ordered well. If you have sex, it's within marriage, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did need to say celibacy.
Well, I know, okay. But it's I only learned that myself fairly recently in my life. Oh. I didn't know that as a kid growing up. We never learned that in any religion class.
They don't tell. We didn't learn anything in religion class. Religion class was a joke where you sit around and color pictures and made.
It really was.
Made felt banners and.
Or even in high school, it's like. It was stupid stuff. Hey, talk about somebody that you think is a prophet in our day. Stupid stuff.
Yeah, it's a shame.
All right.
All right. I guess
that's
think
it.
about what we said, folks, and as always,
go raw and circle the beads.
And hey, check out our website. I made some graphics for Rosary as Weapon.
Oh yeah. Check some of those out.
And I made a few more.
And vote on the ones that we have.
And if you if you're a designer and you can do more than we can, because I'm not a designer, if you could do neater stuff with this, get in touch with me and I will give you the graphics. But did you see the Bind Evil, Pray the Rosary graphics, Danny?
No.
Okay, go check that page out again.
Okay. The Bind
There's some,
Evil?
Bind evil, slay evil, say the rosary. You'll see what I mean.
Okay. Gotta check that out then.
All right. Well, folks, we'll see you next week.
Bye.